me, I would always think about too, like, what would my 80-year-old self want to look back on? And if you are in your 20s and you are watching this, this is the perfect era and the perfect decade to make as many mistakes as you want, to fail as much as you can, and learn from it, learn about yourself, learn what you like, experience the world. I had to realize, like, my journey is my journey. It's unique to me. And it's the circumstances that I am in that I am going to learn from and that I am going to make the absolute best out of. If I'm so worried about how is this looking to other people, that's not even mine anymore. That's not my journey. I'm living for the eyes of other people, and what's the point in that? All of this pressure of who I think I need to be, letting go of that is actually so much freedom in itself. Live a life that you want to experience, that you want to look back on. Like, that's my biggest advice. So I think it's important to consider, like, your motivation behind what you want to do. So piercing hard launch. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. My name is Lauren, and today I want to be talking about finding your path. I feel like this is something that I have had to navigate multiple times in my life. I feel like I've had a couple of times where I have just been standing at crossroads, and it's like I have had no idea which path to pick or where to turn or where to go. Today I just want to be talking about it because basically right now I'm in Bali. I was traveling with a group for about 10 days and it was so fun. We did Bali, Lombok, Nusa Lembongan. I hope I'm saying that right. And then Gili T. So we did a bit of island hopping and it was so much fun. But I felt like before I went on this trip, I almost had this like pull to Ubud, okay? And Ubud is like a small like town in Bali. Ubud is just kind of more of a spiritual place, and this is like the first full day I've spent in Ubud was today. But after the trip with the group, I was just like, okay, I booked my flight for the next day, and then after the trip was over, I was like, no, I need to spend more time here, so I extended my flight. But I just had sort of this pull to do it. I'm in Ubud, and basically right now I'm living in Australia. I'm on a working holiday visa, and I'm set to go back to work for my 88 days for my visa. And one of the jobs that I was really praying that I could get, that I sort of had planned, just fell through. Originally I got the email and I was like, okay, I have to find a different job. Finding an 88-day job in Australia is so competitive, especially in the area that I want to live. So I spent all morning looking for jobs, looking for accommodation, posting on Instagram, like posting on Facebook chats and whatever. I'm staying at this wellness hostel, and we had like a sound bath meditation tonight with this healer that came in. And afterwards, him and a couple other girls and I stuck around, and we were just really talking to him, and he let us pull 2 cards, and they have like words written on them. So I pulled 2 cards, and they were trust and divine intervention. So basically the 2 cards combined basically told me to trust where I am, trust the situation, trust that whatever is happening will happen, and to let go of control. And this really brought me back to the times in my life where I also had to practice this, where I had no idea where I was going to go, what I was going to do, and what was going to happen. And I think the way that I'm going to talk about this sounds so much more simpler than it is, to let go of control, to surrender to the unknown, and to just be here. And I was telling, because the healer that came in tonight was asking me, like, what do the cards mean for me? And I was telling him, like, you know, my job fell through. It's going to be competitive. I don't, like, maybe I'm not meant to go back to Australia. Like, I don't know. I literally have a week here before I go back. And I'm like, am I even meant to go back? Like, those are the questions that are going through my head right now. But they're almost at the same time. It's like I'm trying to focus on not trying to have it all figured out, not trying to have it all planned, because I have learned from experience that everything that I have planned in my past has never gone to plan. It has always gone for the better. Like, things haven't worked out for the best, and I have been redirected so many times for the best. And it's like I can't really overthink it, because, and I want to recommend the book The Alchemist here, because I feel like that book is so good in describing how it's so important to trust the universe. It's so important to trust the divine and to listen to the messages that you get, to listen to the ideas that you have, to the things that keep sticking out in your mind. And it's important to take those into deep consideration. Like for me, this podcast, I had this idea for 3 years. It kept coming to me. It didn't really work out the first time, and that was okay. I look back and I now realize that it was not meant to happen in that time. I still had so much that I needed to experience, that I needed to learn, that I needed to go through before I could start this and do it in a way that I'm not being a perfectionist about it, that I'm not putting so much pressure on myself. Like, I see why the delay happened when it did, and I now see why it failed the first time and why it's happening now. And it's like those things just teach me how important divine timing is, how important it is to trust where you're at, to trust the things that are coming into your reality, that are coming into your life, that are coming into your consciousness, because it's all so important. But I will say that it can be so hard when you're at a crossroads, when you don't know where to go, what path to choose. And to me, I would always think about too, like, what would my 80-year-old self want to look back on? Like, what does she want to see in her life? What things does she want to experience? The things that she would be so proud of me for doing. And to me, those things looked to be very uncomfortable, like going and moving abroad or starting this podcast or moving into a van. It's like those things are uncomfortable, but those are things that I am one day going to be so happy and so proud to look back on. And I think those are things that you need to also take into consideration. I have a few tips, but that's one of them. And another thing was, I was having a conversation with the healer tonight, and one of the girls that stayed around, and she was talking about how she doesn't really know where to turn when it comes to her career. I should say her name, Juliet. Shout out to you. I could relate to this as well, where it's like when you grow up in a culture that prioritizes like the name of something, the looks of something, if they prioritize the title, the job title, and what it looks like to everyone else around you, it's like it can be very hard to break out of that. For me, I thought that I was going to graduate with a marketing degree and I was going to work this big corporate position, this big corporate job. And in the past, I used to struggle with the insecurity that I wasn't smart enough. So I was like, oh, I'm going to prove to everyone that I am smart enough to work this job. I'm smart enough to do this. I'm smart enough to work for this company, da-da-da-da. And it was like I got the fulfillment out of saying, oh yeah, I work for this company, I work for this brand, blah, 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 blah. I look back and I'm like, that was such an ego thing for me to focus on, was almost like how it was going to look and how people were going to praise me for it. And it's like, and the money that I was going to get from that. It was like, that was what was going to fuel that. And now looking back, I am so happy that I didn't go that route, right? It's like, and I worked internships in corporate marketing that I was able to learn from that. Like, it wasn't giving me true fulfillment, true happiness, and my motivation would have died off so quickly if it was for the eyes of other people. It was like I had to learn how to come back to myself and be like, hey, what am I good at? What am I good at? What do I love? What do I want to share? What do I want to focus on? And for a while, I didn't know. I had no idea. I think it's so normal when you're in your 20s and you don't really know yet. You don't know the things that you like to do, the hobbies that you enjoy. You don't know the topics that you find interesting or the ways in which that you want to give back and help other people. It's like, I feel like it's so normal not to know those things, but it's like all about trial and error, trying new things, trying the things that stick out to you. For me, I've always had this thing happen where, for this podcast, for example, I felt like for a while, the idea of it kept coming into my awareness. It just kept coming up. It kept coming up. And for me, that also looks like places in the world. Like where the places that I have found the most transformation or the most happiness for me have been places that have always stuck out to me in my head. And it's almost like the universe is being like, pulling me there. Like, you need to go here. Like, you need to go there. And I talked about this in another episode, but it was like recently I moved to a place where I felt so happy. And it was like the minute that I entered Australia 8 months ago, that place always stuck in my head. It always stuck in my mind. I always knew I had to go there. But for some reason, I just took every route around it until I was literally forced there, until I was denied from my job and I ended up there. Like, it was like the universe just pushed me towards there, but it was like, maybe, I think back, and of course everything happens for a reason. I'm so glad I took the long way because I learned so much on the way. But I always had it in my head of like, I knew that this place, it was meant for me. It was meant for me. And maybe it's not a place that I will live in forever, but for the time that I have spent there already, I have grown so much. I have learned so much, and I have discovered so many new things about myself. And that's another thing I want to say is like, when I have attached to a plan, to a timeline, that's when I intercept the universe. When I am trying to control everything, when I'm trying to figure everything out right now, like, this is going to look like this, I want that. What's meant for me is going to be a bit harder to find me if I'm always trying to control it, because I believe that like whatever is meant to find me will find me. But it's like, am I going to listen? Am I going to allow things to change, even if it's not what I thought was going to happen, and just accept that? And right now I have a little dilemma. Actually, I don't even know if I want to add this, but I have a little dilemma that like I might not even go back to Australia. Like, honestly, because this job that I was going to have might not work. Like, it's not going to work out. And if I can't find another job, I can't extend my visa. But it's like, if I'm in a place right now where it feels so right, it's been calling to me, which it has, it's like I have to listen to that. And if I am getting literally cards, like tarot cards, that are telling me to trust and to surrender, it's what I'm gonna do, right? But it's almost like the uncomfort of accepting. It's like the hardest part is accepting that things might not go to plan, but it's for my best interest. And I look back at the moments that I was in these crossroads, that I didn't know what was going to happen, and that I had to let go of control and just surrender and go with the flow and listen to the signs, listen to the messages, literally read the book The Alchemist. But I look back at those times were so life-changing for me. I could choose so many different routes right now, and it's almost like the butterfly effect. And I don't want to say this in the sense of like adding pressure to whatever situation you're in, but it's like every little decision that you make is so important, and it's so impactful, and it has such a major decision on your life and your outcome. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. But it matters to you. It matters to your growth, and it matters to your journey. So I think for me, like, sorry, I don't mean to add more pressure if you're already struggling with finding your path and figuring out your next steps, but it's like, it's almost like trusting. So, okay, I will say, we were talking to the healer tonight. Maybe I'll film an episode with him. Also, guys, I got a new piercing. Hope you like it, because I love it. But anyways, he was saying like, because this girl was talking about how like when she has so many decisions that she wants to make, that's in her timeline, that all these different routes that she could go, she does like so much research on each one and all these different options and everything that she could do. And the healer was just kind of like, that gets so crowded. Like, it just makes your mind so crowded, right? And I know for me, when I was right before I was grad, it was like I was either going to stay in San Francisco or I was going to move to Australia, okay? 2 completely different options. And then I also had like 4 backup options on top of that. Guys, I was overthinking it so much. I would write lists. I would write pros and cons. I was writing out every route I could go. Like, I was literally trying to analyze my situation, my plan, analyzing what was best for me, what could work out the best. Like, I was just so crowded in my head of all these different options, all these different routes. And it was almost like I was struggling to just surrender and to just trust. And I remember the best advice that I got in that time period was to chew on the ideas. Okay, and I know that sounds weird, but it was like letting those ideas ruminate in my head, letting them circle, letting them just kind of float there and just come back to them every now and then, but just let them be. Just let them be. I know what could happen. I know the different routes I could go, and just let it be. And I just had to sort of trust, right? And I look back now and I see why that advice resonated with me so much, because it's like I, at the time, didn't really know how to trust the universe. I didn't know how to trust the flow of things, and I didn't realize how important rejection was in redirecting my path. And I remember right before graduating uni, I decided to stay in San Francisco. I was looking for housing, I was looking for jobs, I was trying to, like, my parents flew out, we were exploring different apartments, like, I was trying to make it work, and nothing felt right. Like, it was almost this feeling in my chest of like, this just doesn't feel right. So one day, over, I think this was like May or June, I applied for the working holiday visa for Australia. It got approved the same day. Like, it literally got approved the same day. And before I knew it, I had housing. Everything just sort of fell into place within like 2 months. And it was just like something that I couldn't have planned, but just fell into place. It just happened. And it was like, it just flowed so easily. And I'm not saying that everything is just gonna flow like that, but I'm just saying, like, I had to sort of give up control and give up my trust and just surrender to what was going to come into my path, to come into my awareness, and what was going to happen to lead me to where I am now. And I will say, like, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Another example, like, I talked about this in my recent episode where I got rejected from the job that I really wanted to work, and then I ended up in the place that I always had a calling to, and it just felt so right being there. And I was like, okay, I'm actually so much happier here, and I love it here. And it was like that redirection led me to that. And so it's like giving up control, almost like surrendering and trusting. And I am a huge believer in you are what you attract. When I find my mind being so worried about the future, being so fearful about what's gonna happen, and losing control, and almost trying to predict everything, like scrambling to figure things out, like, that's a fear-based mindset, and that's a lack mindset. And I just have this feeling of like, if that's what I'm gonna be putting out, that's what I'm gonna get. Like, it's not going to be the best. Everything happens for a reason, again. But the healer said tonight, it can literally be a cycle of like just going in circles until something happens that leads you to where you're meant to go. And so for me right now, I feel like, me giving my own advice right now, it's like I have to give up control. It's like if I just keep trying to control everything all the time and figure it out all the time, something big is just going to like get me to where I'm meant to be. And maybe that's back here. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe being here will lead me somewhere else. But it's like, that's the journey of life, and that's what matters. Like, it's not this end goal, but it's like the journey of getting there, and like how that feels for you, and doing something that's fulfilling and makes you happy, and that you want to share with others, and that you want to just do on a day-to-day. I think that's so important to consider. But if I'm so scared that things aren't going to work out for me, and I am just expecting all these problems to come up and all these worries, like, that's such a low vibration. That's like, I'm not going to attract what is meant for me, what's meant for my highest good. It's like, I have to keep reminding myself to come back into the moment and focus on my energy, focus on my vibration, focus on like, what am I emitting right now? Because that's what I'm going to get. I'll be the tester here, okay? Because right now I feel like I'm about to commit to myself to just coming back to myself in this next week, and like focusing on my energy, focusing on my vibration, focusing on taking care of myself and being present in the moment in order to attract what I need to attract and what's meant for me. And I have already prayed, okay? I have already, like, I've been talking to God, I've been talking to the universe, like, if I'm meant to go back to Australia, you will put a job in my path. Like, if I am meant to do this, I trust that whatever is meant to be will happen. I trust that whatever is in my highest good will come. And it's like just giving up that control and trusting wherever I end up, whatever is going to come from this situation, like, I accept that. But it's like the minute that I'm like so fearful about it, I just feel like I'm putting bad energy out there. But it's almost like I don't know, in the past, I've just had to trust the flow of things and redirection and trial and error, because I think that's a big one in our 20s, and figuring out what you want to do and what makes you fulfilled, or whatever age you're at, even. It's like, just trial and error, trying new things, seeing what sticks, seeing what flows, seeing what you like, seeing what you don't like, and learning each time. And I also think it's important to consider like your motivation behind what you want to do. Is it for the looks of it? Is it for the money? Is it for the status? Motivation should be like, what makes you the happiest, the most fulfilled, the most excited? Like, what adventure, what do you want to experience? Because life is just one big experience, right? It's not a beginning and an end. I mean, there is a beginning and an end on the timeline of it, but the timeline's not real. The only thing that matters is the moment that you're in. Like, that is life. The experience is in front of you. The experience is happening around you. It's not, oh, I'll experience life in 5 years when I can take this vacation. I'll experience it in 2 months when I go here. Like, of course, that'll be an experience in itself, but the most important experience is around you all the time. It's right in front of you, and it's practicing experiencing it. Like, it's literally practicing coming back to the moment, coming back to yourself, coming back to your body, and experiencing what's going on around you, and doing things that will bring you into the present, that will bring you into that experience. But it's like, the minute that I start getting in my head of like, what's this gonna look like, what am I gonna do, I start stressing out, I start worrying, for what? And then what am I attracting? What am I attracting? Those are the things that I have to remind myself when I'm just like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to come from this. And I have no idea what I'm going to learn or where I'm going to end up. But I'm here. I'm here and I'm learning, and all I can focus on is what's coming into my awareness, what's coming into my reality, what am I learning here? And what do I feel like is meant for me? It's just crazy. Life is crazy, guys. Like, life is just crazy, but it's like, live a life that you want to live. Like, live a life that you want to experience, that you want to look back on. Like, that's my biggest advice, is like, take that risk. Like, honestly. And the healer tonight, Kodak, shout out to you. I'm gonna put his handles in here because period. But he was saying too, it's like, wait, what was I gonna say? Like 10 p.m. and I am about to go to sleep, but I just had to record this because it's all so fresh right now. But he was saying, like, you are the most rich when you are just the most simple. Like, your life is so simplified. I will talk about this in terms of my experience, because I feel like I grew up in the US, consumer-based culture. I was always buying new clothes. I was always buying the latest fashion, the latest hair products, trying new makeup routines, things like that. And like, I'm not gonna say I'm over that, because I still love buying new clothes and things like that, but well, it's mainly because my fashion has changed. Anyways, I grew up with so much stuff, just so much stuff. I had so many clothes. I had so much makeup. I had just an abundance of things in my life, and I'm so blessed for that. I'm so grateful for that. But it was like just so many things. And like, I remember a couple months ago when I lived in Sydney, I was in my Kukai girl era. Okay, if you know Kukai, if you know, you know. I was like, I want to look so nice. I want to look so presentable. I want to do my makeup every day, do my hair every day. That's when I was starting this podcast. So if you go and watch the first literally 3 episodes, no, the first episode and the third episode, those were filmed in Sydney. That was me in my Sydney era. If you go back to the latest episode, that was me in my van life era, okay? No makeup, okay? I'm living out of 1 suitcase. I went from 2 to 1, okay? And then, like, coming on this trip, I have 1 duffel bag. Guys, look at me go. Look at me go. Sydney me could never. 1 backpack. And I hardly wear makeup. I'm hardly doing my hair. I'm actually so proud of myself, because I look back and I'm like, I would have never thought that I could do that, right? And that I could live out of 1 duffel bag for, I don't know, 2 weeks. I think about it in terms of like, I feel like when I'm worried about all this, when I'm less worried about all this stuff, when I'm less worried about all these clothes that I have to wear, all these different products of makeup that I could put on, and these different ways I could style my hair every day, it's like, when I'm so less worried about how much is in front of me and how much is going on around me and in my reality, it's like, that's when I get to experience reality. Because it's like, less things that I have to cut through. It's like I'm just here. Like I just come back here and it's so much more simplified. It's like I wake up in the morning and I don't have to worry about doing my makeup. I don't worry about doing my hair. I don't worry about, of course I worry about picking an outfit, but I have like 3 options to choose from every day. Like that's so simple. And then I focus on what actually matters about like, okay, what's today going to look like? How's my energy right now? What do I need to do? Like how like coming back to myself, taking care of myself, and like experiencing the world around me. Like that's, I think, what he meant of like the simplest man is the richest, because it's like they can come back to themselves and experience this life for all that it is and its fullness and all the emotions that it brings. And there's not so much happening all the time. You're not seeking happiness outside of yourself and external fulfillment. It's just like you realize it comes from within and you rely on that. Like you come back to that every time. So that's really what I've been learning recently through living in the van and through being here. And again, I talked about this in my last episode as well, of like learning to live more fully. But it's like I completely agree with that. It's like once you can simplify that a little bit more, it helps. And I also filmed this episode about kind of cutting through the fluff, and like that's been another lesson. And I'm either going to post that now or I'm going to post it next week, but that's been another lesson that I've been learning recently, is like cutting through all of this external things, all of this external stuff that's outside of myself that like isn't real, that doesn't really matter, but it's like what I have been taught that matters, or I have been taught that's where my value lies, or that's where I believe that I need to adhere to that. Like for example, doing my hair, doing my makeup every single day, like thinking that my value lies in my beauty and how I look and things like that. It's like cutting through those things, those beliefs about myself, like cutting through the beliefs that I have to look a certain way, I have to work a certain job, present myself a certain way in order to be valued by society. It's like once I can release those things, release those mindset, release those cultural norms, it's like I come back more to myself, even more, of like none of that matters. All of this pressure of who I think I need to be, letting go of that is actually so much freedom in itself. And it's like that's another lesson I've learned. So many lessons, but it's like learning that freedom is inner. Like freedom, okay, I'm saying this from a very privileged standpoint. Like I'm so blessed that I have the freedom to speak freely, because some people don't. I have a lot of freedom coming from the land of the free, okay? But I have also been learning that when it comes to my identity, that in itself, I have had to learn how to become free in that, in not believing that I have to look a certain way, that I have to be a certain way, that I have to work a certain job, make this amount of money, do this, do that, all this noise that comes from cultural norms, all this noise that comes from external eyes, all this noise that comes from the opinions and the judgments of others. That doesn't matter. And for me, it's like I've had to learn how to cut through that, how to let that go, and to realize that that is not me. That is ideas that are sold to me for who I need to be, and that's not true. It's not true to me. Some of it, maybe I'll accept it, but some of it I won't, right? And it's like I still hold parts of old identities that I had, but it's like I had to release a lot of those things with love, and release a lot of those past versions of me with love, because they weren't serving me. They were just things that I thought I needed to be, and ways of living that I thought I needed to live. But it wasn't giving me true happiness, and it wasn't giving me true fulfillment. And it's like for example, I thought I had to push my body so hard every day at the gym. I thought I had to look a certain way in order to be valued. I thought that I had to work a corporate job in order to feel fulfillment, in order to feel valued by society. I thought I had to make a certain amount of money. And coming to Australia and living more of like the backpacker life and like working low-end hospitality jobs after getting my degree, like there was a lot of guilt that came with that. There was a lot of guilt around, I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be doing this. This isn't like, I need to be working this job, I need to be working that job, I need to be working corporate, but how am I gonna build my resume, It's like I had to realize like my journey is my journey. My journey is unique to me. What I am doing is special to me, and it's the circumstances that I am in that I am going to learn from, and that I am going to make the absolute best out of. And it's like if I'm so worried about how is this looking to other people, that's not even mine anymore. That's not my journey, right? That's not giving me the fulfillment that I want. That's not like I'm not living for myself. I'm living for the eyes of other people, and what's the point in that? And so it's just like learning how to, am I speaking loud? Can everyone hear me right now? But it's just, I've had to learn to really come back to myself and to honor my journey, to honor my growth, even if it's looked different from what I always thought I would do, or from what society, from what my culture, my cultural norms always, from what the US prioritizes, like money, corporate, cars, whatever. And it depends on how you grow up, right? It all depends on how you grow up and the culture that you grow up in. And like, that's why I think traveling has really opened my mind so much. Like, when you go to Australia, it's like, and I mentioned this in another episode. I mention everything in another episode, but it's like when I go to Australia and everyone's like, oh, what do you do? Like, sometimes it's for work, but like sometimes it's like, what are your hobbies? Like, what do you enjoy doing? Like, what makes you fulfilled? Like, it's like people actually talk about those things. The work-life balance is so good in Australia, but it's like you go to the US and it's all about more about jobs and money, and making time for hobbies is like sometimes just not even like, people don't prioritize it. And so like traveling has made me realize just how many different ways of being there are, and you can live however you want. Follow the law, okay? Be kind, have a good heart, be kind to others, but you get to do whatever you want. You get to live however you want. If you want to sell all your things and move into a van and move into the mountains, do it. If that's what's going to make you happy, do it. If you just want to live that era, you want to experience that life, do it. And I think most of my audience is in their 20s. You can do this at any age. Like, you can literally do this at whatever age you're at. But like, especially in your 20s, you're able to fail a lot more than maybe when you're a lot older. You could still fail at whatever age. Okay, I'm like limiting all of my older audience, if I have any out there. Grandma, I know you watch this. Love you. Yeah, Grandma, you can do whatever you want. I want to tell you that right now. You can do whatever you want. If you want to experience this part of life, if you want to go experience that, do it, okay? And if you are in your 20s and you are watching this, this is the perfect era and the perfect decade to make as many mistakes as you want, to fail as much as you can, and learn from it, learn about yourself, learn what you like, experience the world, because that's all this life is about. Literally, that's all this life is about. I feel like coming to Australia, it's like, I said this in another episode. That's like the theme of this episode. That should be the title at this point. Like, I said this in another episode, but I said this in another episode where I was like, when you're traveling, you're usually either running from something or you're running towards something, okay? So being in the like backpacker life with my suitcases, but being in the backpacker life, I've really had a lot of like more of existential, I think that's the word, existential conversations with a lot of other backpackers. And we really talk about like the meaning of life. And I know that sounds so intense, but we really talk about the undercurrents of life, because I feel like we all are experiencing so much at a deep level a lot. And it's like the transformation that you have when you go backpack, when you go travel, when you move countries is like actually pretty insane, and it's so cool. But it's like we all talk about it a lot, and I mean, at least for me, and like I don't know, it's like it's all just an experience, and it's like living for your soul and just saying F it and doing it, right? And like I don't know, I love that mindset, and I love living by that, and just not really having a true plan. Because again, I mean, I think having a general plan is good, but like going with the flow and letting go of control, like that's a big lesson in traveling and in exploring. But I just think life is one big experience, and what a blessing that you get to learn so much about yourself while you do it. So I don't know, I would just say my biggest advice is take the biggest risk that you can, and you are strong enough to handle whatever it is that's going to come. And whatever it is that's going to come is just going to strengthen you so much more in the end. It's just going to strengthen you so much more in the end. But honestly, read The Alchemist, read the book The Alchemist, listen to the signs, listen to the universe, pray, okay? Pray and let go of control. Another thing that the healer said tonight, I'm gonna need to put a picture with this man in here because he just dropped so many facts. But he said too, it's like once you can calm down your mind, once you can calm that mind, you can settle it down, the answer will come. Your intuition is, you should always trust your gut, always follow your gut. And I know that's easier said than done because it's like a skill that you need to learn, but it's like once you can settle your mind and just trust your intuition, trust what's going to come into your awareness, trust the moment that you're in and focus on your energy. It's like, but he said, like, just calm down your mind and the answer will come, the clarity will come. Once you can just become grounded in that intuition and in yourself, it's like the answer will arise. And I look back at when I was trying to figure out whether I should move to Australia or not, and I was like, just chew on the ideas. I feel like that was my version of calming my mind because it was like I was accepting in that moment. I was just accepting that the ideas are there. They're there. And I don't have to make one right now. I don't have to decide. I'm aware. Okay, great. I'm aware. Now let's trust. But that was my version of trusting, was like, let's chew on the ideas. Just let them ruminate, but be here and be present. Like, you know that they're there, so just be present. You'll figure it out. You will figure it out and listen to where you're being, try to listen to where you're being pulled without all this noise. Listen to what's standing out. And you might not know, like maybe there's an option that's standing out and you're like, why does this keep coming up? I don't want to do that. But maybe there's something hidden in that, right? Like maybe there is something that's going to come along in your path. You have no idea. And if things don't work out, if things don't go the way that you planned, you can always pivot. Always. Okay? And I know you might have to have a little bit of financial cushion there, but you can always pivot. You can always go back. You can always quit. You can always do whatever. Okay? But don't quit the moment something becomes uncomfortable, because that's where the most growth takes place. So the minute it becomes uncomfortable, like, go through it, experience it. You're gonna learn so much. Like, that's where beauty lies, is like in that uncomfort. That's where you're gonna learn so much about yourself, so much about the world. And like, I don't know, I love it. I love being uncomfortable because you get to grow. But yeah, like, trust where you are, trust where you're at, trust God, trust the universe, pray, like, get in tune with that intuition. Read The Alchemist. Guys, The Alchemist is such a good book. Like, it's so good. It's so good. So anyways, yeah, but I will just say, like, everything, you are always exactly where you're meant to be. Always. Like, you just have to trust that. Trust the path that you're on, even if you can't make sense of it right now. Like, it's going to reveal itself over time. And that is, again, something that I have had to learn while traveling, because nothing has ever gone to plan. And so it's just like trusting that things are going to work out exactly how they're meant to. And all you can do is be here. Focus on gratitude and love and presence. And that will attract what's meant for you. Anyways, yeah. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And I would say combine the things as well. Combine what you're good at, what you're into. Like, you can look that up, to be honest. Like different factors, like your strengths, what you like, what you want to do. Like, do you want to help people? Do you want to, like, I don't know, like, whatever. And then you can maybe figure out some other jobs and ideas around that as well. But I would say trust your intuition, don't overthink it, but also just explore. Like, just explore. When I was talking to Juliet tonight, the girl, she was explaining her situation, and she was explaining the things that she knows that she's good at, right? Like, she was explaining, like, she knows she does this, she likes that, she's good at this. And in my head, I'm like, girl, I know what, like we found a job for her, and in my head I'm just like, okay, go do that. But like, I know for me that's so much easier said than done, looking at her. And like, I know looking at me, it's like, I know the things that I'm good at, I know what I want to do, I know where I want to be, so why don't I just do that? Why don't I just do that? But in my head, there's like so many different routes that I have to take before I can get there. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's a lot more simple than I think. It's a lot more simple than I think. But in my head, it's not. But it actually is. That's just a thought that I just had that I am reflecting on. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, that's all I have for my Thursday night therapy session. But yeah, I'm really excited for this week though. I'm doing like a wellness retreat in Bali. No, it's actually so insane. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. And I can't believe I'm here, like, just in Bali. I am, like, just in awe of this place. And yeah, I feel like I just ended up here and it's crazy. But I'll keep you guys updated on how it goes. And yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for coming to another episode. I really hope that this helped, that this gave anyone any advice that they needed to hear, or just any tips on how to really navigate that decision, because it's a big decision and it's hard. And show compassion for yourself because it's a lot. And I know for me, like, my head would get so overstimulated and overrun with all these ideas, but it's like I really had to find stillness through that, and I just really had to trust. And I know it's hard, but to just, yeah, trust God, trust the universe, trust the divine. It's all going to work out exactly how it needs to, and you are exactly where you're meant to be all the time. All going to happen for a reason. And I think we all face these points in our life of crossroads. We faced, a point in our 20s where we actually ask ourselves, what do I actually want to do, and where do I actually want to go? And I think that that's so normal. I also read this book, The Defining Decade. That's a really good book about this, The Defining Decade. It gives so many tips in your 20s about how to navigate your career, how to navigate love, how to navigate relationships, like how to navigate these different things when you are literally navigating the unknown. And you're literally navigating the unknown. Like, I am navigating the unknown. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm here, right? I'm here. But all I can do is kind of follow different signs and follow the things that are coming into my reality. And like, it's such a beautiful thing. And maybe one day I'll just know. I'll get to the point where I know what I want to do, my purpose and my path. But I think it's such a beautiful journey of how to get there. And yeah, it's just so cool. So try to just, I know it's hard when you're overthinking it, but try to enjoy the journey and just discover new things about yourself, discover new things for yourself. And honestly, it's not as deep as you think it is. It is deep, but at the same time, it's not going to matter. Actually, it will matter, but in a good way. It will matter because you're going to look back and you're going to thank yourself so much for questioning these things and trying new things and whatever. Okay, I feel like I'm just yapping. But show yourself compassion because it's hard. It's really hard. Okay, I need to go to bed. Thank you guys so much for coming back. Also, piercing hard launch. I'm obsessed with it. But thank you guys so much for coming back to another episode. I really hope that this helped and gave you any tips or advice or clarity that you needed. So yeah, welcome back to Somehow, and I'll see you guys in another episode. Okay, bye.